Well, good morning and welcome back to another fishing adventure. I've set myself a challenge to fish every pier on our north coast and try and catch a fish on a lure on every single one. I am going to start on the furthest pier on our north coast away from my house, which is Greve de Lecq. I can't promise anything, to be honest, because this is really going to test me. It might show you guys different places where you can go and fish, especially if you live here or if you're visiting the island. It's a challenge, it's going to be difficult, really is, but we'll give it a really good go. Fingers crossed. Let's go fishing. Well, welcome to Greve de Lecq Pier. This is the first pier that I'm going to fish this morning. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a small soft plastic. And I'm just going to nail it around the wall. I feel the best method to actually catch a fish is in close, in with the snaggy stuff. So this is what I'm going to chuck, a little small soft plastic. There is a fisherman just about to go out in his boat. We'll check him out and then we'll get a few casts in. No, I don't recommend standing on a wall like this to anyone that's fishing. I'm used to it, I do this a lot, so safety always comes first. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this along the bottom of the wall and see if there is anything home. Piers always hold fish in close. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do, but a lot of the time they do. As you can see, the watercolour is absolutely horrific. So catching a fish here might be harder than I think. Tide's on the rise, it's only a small tide though, so let's try one parallel with the mole itself. You can see the water coming over and filling up on this side, and when the tide comes up it will move around here as well. Now the thing is, I could be cast. Oh, there we go. I just had a bite. I was hoping for some fish close in, but as I say, I feel like this was going to be the hardest pier. There you go, that's better. And with this metal, I'm just going to work it. Just make sure, see if there's any fish around. Clip that on and let's get ready to go. But that's Greve de Lecq for you. No fish on this pier. I did say it would be the hardest. Let's make a short drive to the next pier, which is further around the coast. I believe it's a little bit further past that point, which is Sorrel Point. So we're going to drive around and then situate ourselves at Bonne Nuit. Well, welcome back to our second pier of the morning. This is Bonne Nuit. On its day, it can be full up with people throwing feathers for mackerel once they come in the summer months. I'm going to make my way to the very end. There's a small little bunker at the top. I was expecting to see someone out on such a beautiful morning, but looks like I'm going to be the only one here. There might be a wrasse in close underneath this wall here, but I'm not too sure. This is going to be another hard one, especially on a day like this, with a small tide. But we'll give it a quick burn. I'm going to start off with a metal and I'm going to bounce it close to the bottom. I would love to catch a gurnard. Right, what I'll do, I think I'm going to start from up here. It's a little bit windy on the top of the bunker. Just going to start with this metal again. Going to just bang it out and fingers crossed we might catch a fish. we'll start here. I might work a little soft plastic in close as well, just to see if there's any bass holding on the reef. Let's try one out straight in front. As mornings go, it's not actually too bad once that rain stops. Well, there's nothing here on the metal, so let's try something else. Well, nothing on the metal so far. Just jigged it up and down on the bottom. Nothing's really prevailed at all. Gonna mix it up, try something different. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually try a white lure for a bass. Just flick it over there. I've had some nice bass here. It's weird to say, but I don't really like fishing lures from too high up, especially when fishing something like so. Because you're so high on the pier, your lure tends to rise up to the surface, which is just no good for covering all bases, unless you're really being slow and just pumping it and holding it tight to the bottom. When with this, I like a straight retrieval. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try that, just cast a few towards the reef, and then I'm going to stick with something that can sit on the bottom and try for maybe a wrasse, which is close in. Now, I'm not saying come here and fish for bass, but I just want to see if maybe there are any fish just sitting in and around that reef that fancies a little nib on this white looking sand eel lure. When this light shines down onto this area, it's always full of bait fish. So if you come down, you see a big bait ball, always keep an eye peeled for a bass. That lure looks so good though in the water. It really does. Over there. That's a lovely cast. Well, I just had my first fish follow me, a garfish. I'm pretty sure there was a couple of them as well. I'll quickly just work this lure along the surface and see if we can pick one up. They've got beaks on them and sometimes they're quite hard to pick up. If you had a set of feathers, home wrecker, wreck them, but you will pick them up. Fishing a little float with a little fionca mackerel does it, especially at night. 2 piers, no fish. Well, that's 2 piers, no fish, hardly any bites, hardly any takes. What did I kind of expect for a winter small tide kind of day? But we've got 3 piers left, 3 chances to get a bend on the rod. That's fishing for you. You don't catch every time you go out. Well, we have come to our 3rd pier of the morning. It's been quite a quick shift, to be honest. The first 2 piers, absolutely nothing, maybe a couple of small little bites. But we're now in Trinity and we're in a small little bay named Bouley Bay. Now, we are surrounded by some lovely headlands and right above us we have Fort Leicester. And I actually am quite hopeful of catching a fish on this particular pier. So let's grab the rod and let's get out here. I've caught fish on this pier before. I'm hopeful that we can actually get into something right now. Well, I'm going to start just by the stairs, and all I'm going to do is flick a little soft plastic in and around this area. Now, as I was saying, I'm very hopeful of catching a fish on this particular pier. Again, I've just started with a small soft plastic. I'm just bouncing this along the wall. Just had my first bite on this pier. This is a great way to have some fun wrasse fishing. It's what started my lure fishing adventure over the years, just fishing small soft plastics around rocks and reefs. Today is predominantly pier fishing, but all I'm doing is bringing this in really slow and just letting it sit off the bottom, giving it occasional little flicks and just waiting for a little tap. Just had a hit again. There must be a fish just sitting around underneath these stairs. I'm definitely getting small little takes from smaller fish on the bottom. That's a first. Lots of pin sand deal. I don't know if you can make it out on the camera down there. Very early to see that. Well, this is quite frankly one of the toughest mornings I've had fishing in a while. 3 places, hardly any fish, hardly any takes at all. We're on a beautiful stretch of our coastline, to be honest, and in the summer months the fishing is a lot better, trust me. It's so much better. It's just tough. This is as tough as it gets, to be honest. Well, it looks like my wishful thinking got the better of me this morning. Hoping to come out and put some species on the board, but it's really been hard fishing. This has been as tough as it gets. I'll be happy with a micro pollock right now. Oh, it's not happening at all. Let's go one out there. Casting a, oh, I just had a knock, I'm sure. Just had a bite. Mate, you fish wherever. It's all good. The man himself, the flying fisherman. Try back over there. Oh, shout me if you get anything. Yeah. Oh, this is tough. Oh, I've got a fish. Oh my god, I've got a fish. No way. I didn't even think I had a fish there. Oh, we've caught a fish at last this morning. Oh, I don't even want to pick it up, but I'm gonna. Well, this is embarrassing, but start as you mean to go on. We fished 3 piers this morning and the fishing has been really difficult and hard. I've hardly had any bites at all, and I just whittled it down to the smallest lure I had, and it meant the difference in not catching and catching. Now this fish is so small, but it's our first fish of the morning. A beautiful little ballan wrasse. There you go. But as I say, it's our first fish in the morning, you know, you can't go wrong. I had to whittle it down to the smallest lure I got, and it means we've got our first fish. It's not been a blank. Well, it's pretty much a blank because that's tiny, but we've caught a fish on the 3rd pier this morning, and now we're going to move on to a really hard pier where I think we might have a chance of another one of these, and then on to St Cath's, which I'm hoping that the whole session turns on its head and we catch loads of fish. But thanks for holding tight, and we've got our first fish. It was a struggle, but we got one. Well, that is Rosel Pier over there, and this morning it is very busy. I couldn't actually find a place to park. Now that pier is probably the hardest pier out of the lot to catch a fish on a lure. Reason is, for me anyway, you might be an angler that catches lots of fish here, but off that particular pier it's mostly just sand. There's a little bit of rock on the back, and I really was not looking forward to actually fishing that. So it's kind of maybe a blessing in disguise, but it's a picturesque little area. You've got the beautiful little coloured huts here, just picturesque, beautiful area. Now on its day you'll catch lots of mackerel here, always do catch mackerel here. I mean, that's probably about it, hence why I wasn't feeling it, to be honest. So a blessing in disguise. But in the corner is the Hungry Man. Now if you're ever visiting Jersey, make sure you get yourself over there. They do some amazing food, just picky kind of stuff like burgers and rolls and things like that, but they make some absolute beasts, and it's always good to get yourself some scram there. Maybe I should have stopped, but as I say, no parking. So what I'm going to do, we're going to shift on to St Catherine's. We've had one fish so far, one fish, and that really goes to show that you could be the best angler in the world, which I'm not. It's always hard to put fish on the board, especially in these winter months where it's colder, but we've given it a really good go. And it goes to show, I've been casting out, you know, 3-inch kind of soft plastics and metals and not caught anything, and I put it on something which was like 2-inch, 2.5, and I caught that tiny fish, which is quite embarrassing to talk about, to be honest, but who cares? First fish of the morning. We're going to make our way around the coastline, a short 10-minute drive to St Catherine's. Fingers crossed we can have a better session there to end this fun run kind of challenge that I set myself this morning. But I hope you guys have enjoyed it and seen Jersey for what it is, because this wasn't about just the fishing, it was about showing you guys all the different piers where you can come and go fishing yourself, so you don't always have to be on those slippery rocks, especially on a wet day like this. Let's go. Well, this top wall is super windy, so I'm gonna have to go and chance my luck on the bottom wall. The thing is with this pier, you've got a top wall and a bottom wall. Yeah, but it's just too windy up here, so we'll go chance it on the bottom wall, and fingers crossed we can get that final fish of the challenge. But this is super hard. I'm humbled this morning. It's really taking me back. I'm not saying I go out and catch fish all the time, but I usually get a little bend on the rod, so fingers crossed we can change that. Fingers crossed we can get a fish. Come on. Gentleman down here has caught a fish by the looks of it. He's bringing something in, probably a dogfish. I've not lost any gear this morning, which is nice for once. And what I'm doing is I'm just working it parallel with the sea wall, because on this bottom wall you've probably got about 20 foot of rocks at a max that just run out below the wall. They're like boulders. Perfect place. Now this particular pier you can catch bream. To be honest, you can catch every species on this pier. The good old days. Oh, I just had a bite then. Used to come down here with my old man. We used to fish for all sorts. I definitely just had a nice bite just down there, so let's try that one again. Oh, just had a fish there, probably small. Damn, at least we know there's fish here. The most excitement I've had all morning. Yes, I've got a fish. I've got a fish. There we go. Nice wrasse. Cheers, mate. Well, finally, after lots of taps, lots of bites, I finally caught a fish on this pier. This morning has been so hard. To be honest, it's probably not the best time to come out, but I just wanted to show you guys. And we've got ourselves a nice wrasse here that's taken a little bite to that. Maybe this is the start. I'll give it another 15 minutes and fingers crossed we can get another one. But it just goes to show that, you know, if you put everything into it, you do work hard, you get something out of it. And we finally got a fish here. Beautiful coloured wrasse. Check out them. These things grow much bigger, but this morning I wasn't really after anything of size. Took that soft plastic and we'll put it back. It's only small, but who cares? Yes. Well, that is the end of probably one of the toughest mornings fishing I've had in a long time. We fished 4 piers on our north coast and it's been super tough, as you've probably seen. I've tried a selection of lures, techniques. I've just literally had no fish at all. That one nice wrasse, it wasn't even nice, but a lovely way to finish. Loads of bites on this pier, but it's just not prevailed at all. Maybe we'll do this again in the summer months, and fingers crossed we can get into some more fish. It'll be a little bit more fun, but it's been good learning curve. I'm humbled. I did think I'd come out this morning and catch a fish on every pier, but it's been really tough. The elements have been against me, and it's just not been good. But it's been fun and I've enjoyed myself. I've met some lovely people, some new anglers, some fresh anglers, some old faces on this pier, which has been nice as well. And that's a big thing about fishing for me. It's not just about going out there catching and, you know, loading up on fish. It's about just enjoying yourself and being out there with other people and meeting other people and speaking with other people and sharing stories and all those things that come with fishing. I think it's time to go home and have a coffee.